What's going on, guys? Matt here and welcome to my fragrance obsession. Today I'm going to be giving you guys a fragrance review that comes from the house of Nasomatto. Now, this does come from like the bunch of samples that one of my subscribers, Jacques DeVries, sent me. And I knew that straight away after looking at all those samples that I wanted to review one of them. And I was just looking through them all, and I really had to decide on which one I think would make a good review for the first one. So I decided to choose Black Afgano. Now, this fragrance came out in 2009, and this is one of the earliest creations from the House of Nasomatto. And in case you guys are wondering what the House of Nasomatto is, it's a niche brand, a niche house that comes from the Netherlands. And their first fragrance came out in 2008, and their newest fragrance came out this year in 2016. Now, this fragrance has a big story to it. It's not just a fragrance, a niche fragrance that just so happens to come from a company. This has so much like emphasis and so much story put into it that I'm really excited to review. Now, I've wore it a few times. I mean, because this is such like a very like hypnotic fragrance. It's very strong. You only literally have to spray it once whenever you wear it, because it's like literally just a bomb. And every time I've wore it, I've gotten a lot of good results out of it. A lot of people do seem to like the smell. One included, I do also quite like this fragrance. It's not one of my favorites, but it's definitely an interesting scent, nevertheless. Now, the fragrance was designed by Alessandro Gualtieri. I think I might have pronounced his name wrong, but if I have, please let me know. But, you know, my name pronouncing is absolutely atrocious, as you guys know. And Alessandro Gualtieri has designed a lot of fragrances from this house. He's designed fragrances like Hindu Grass, Narcotic Venus, which is a perfume for women. He's also designed Silver Musk, Pardon, and China White. And he's also created other perfumes from other houses like Maria Lux, and he's also created fragrances from Orto Parisi, which I haven't actually tried out, but he's known quite well for creating fragrances from the House of Nasomatto. So we're going to get into one of his best creations. Now, this fragrance is so popular in the fragrance world. This is one of the scents that I used to see on my Instagram newsfeed all the time. And it used to always, you know, mess with my mind. I used to always look at it and think, I wonder how that smells, you know? And it's the same with a lot of, like, niche fragrances. You know, you look at them and you think, I wonder how that smells. I wonder if it's really high quality. And this was just a surprise from Jacques. He just sent me it randomly. So I'm really, again, thank you so much, Jacques, for sending me this fragrance. Now, let me tell you guys what this fragrance is inspired from. Now, Black Afgano aims to actually invoke the best quality of hashish. Now, in case you guys don't know what hashish is, it's another name for cannabis. In fact, hashish is an extracted product that's actually compressed and purified from like stalked resin glands, and basically they're called trichomes. I think that's how you pronounce them, like trichomes or trichomes or something. But they're basically like from the cannabis plant. And this fragrance is meant to invoke the best quality of that smell. Now, do I think it is? I don't know. Let's get into it. Now, in terms of the notes, in the top, we get cannabis and green notes. Okay. And in the middle notes, we get resins, woody notes, coffee, and tobacco. And in the base, we get a glorious base out of this, by the way, of incense and oud. Now, let's get into this fragrance. Now, sadly, I am wearing two fragrances on me. I just received two Al Rahab fragrances in the mail this morning, and I was testing them out. So, let's see. I'll spray it on my arm up here. Okay, let's get into it. Now, like I said, wow, you can smell it already. Jeez, this is strong stuff. Okay, now, like I said before, this is a very hypnotic fragrance. It's very mysterious. It's very dark. Just by looking at all the notes, the cannabis, the coffee and the tobacco, the incense and the oud, very dark fragrance. But that's not all I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you what I smell from this straight off the bat. Okay, so from someone like myself who hasn't really experienced a lot of niche fragrances, and you're probably watching this now expecting a good review. Well, the same with all my videos, guys. I give you exactly what I expect, and I try from the bottom of my heart to give you guys the best reviews, and that's exactly what I'm going to do in this review. So, straight in the top, what I get is I get this very dusty, sort of dark, musky smell. I get kind of like a leathery smell out of this, and I do get the slightest bit of cannabis, because I've smelled weed before. I mean, it doesn't smell exactly like weed. I'm not like, because, you know, I know people that do smoke weed, sadly, and I know exactly how it smells. I've actually held the bag and I've smelled into it before, and it's not exactly the nicest smell. I mean, it's not off-putting. It's not like a disgusting smell. It's a bearable smell, if you know what I mean. It doesn't exactly smell like that. This one smells like a well-blended cannabis note with green qualities behind it. So maybe like a vetiver, or maybe like a grassy sort of vibe. But overall, it's very like dark. It's very dusty, like I said, kind of earthy at the same time. And I guess the green notes are creating this sort of vibe for me. But overall, I think the cannabis note in the top really adds a lot of character to this fragrance, if I'm honest, because it's very different, and there's not actually a lot of fragrances out there that feature the note of cannabis. So to my nose, this does smell very different. It does smell like something expensive, you know, because with something being like very unique, it also has an expensive side to it as well, you know, and that's what this has, without a doubt. Very, very nice opening. I can understand why people might find this a little bit off-putting, because I remember the first time I smelled this, I thought it had this sort of dirty smell to it, kind of like a body odor sort of smell, and I don't know why I thought that, because right now I'm not getting that. But that's what I used to think, and I used to think that it was a little bit off-putting, not really something that I would enjoy wearing. However, now I do like it. I think it's just because I've sat down with this fragrance and I've actually gotten my nose on it quite a lot to get a good sort of idea about it. But yes, very, very nice. Very masculine, I would say. I mean, this is a unisex fragrance, so men and women can wear it quite easily, apparently. But I would say that this was more on the masculine side. It's because of those dark notes, like that coffee and the tobacco, the incense and the oud, and especially with that cannabis in the top, it's very rough. It's got a rough quality about it, and a very sharp quality about it, which makes me instantly think this could easily be worn by a man more than a woman. But you guys might disagree with me. I mean, that's just my opinion, you know? In terms of other notes, I do get a lot of woody sort of characteristics out of this. It's not like a sandalwood or cedar. This is more like a tree bark. It's like a tree bark, earthy sort of smell. Like, I guess I'm going back to that dirty sort of smell. Maybe like the smell of the earth, if you like. So like nature and the smell of like tree bark. That's what I would say. It's not like the smell of fresh wood. It's like tree bark. That's what it kind of reminds me of. I do get the tiniest bit of coffee. It's not like a massive coffee. It's not like Thierry Mugler's pure coffee or something like that. But there's a tiny bit of coffee in this fragrance, which I suppose adds a nice little bit of quality about it. Tobacco, yeah, I do get a lot of tobacco, if I'm honest. I guess it's mixing with that cannabis note, with anything else. It's more with the cannabis. Yeah, and I remember when I wore this the other night, it was on my skin for about 5 hours, and the oud and the incense really did start to come through. It was very smoky, kind of reminded me of a frankincense, and the oud really did play a big part. It was just very rich oud, possibly one of the best ouds I've ever smelled, if I'm honest. It really died down to something really, really nice. Very expensive fragrance, though. That's what you have to realize. If you want to pick up a bottle of this, you're looking in around £120 here in the UK. It's very, very pricey, and that's only for 30ml. But just know that if you do ever want to buy that fragrance, you are going to be getting quality juice. Personally, will I ever buy a bottle of this? Well, the only thing I'm going to say to you guys is if I had the money, I would. Which is why I'm just so grateful for Jacques, you know, sending me all these samples of fragrances that are expensive and I don't think I'm ever going to get my hands on. Well, you know, I'm not going to think negative, but you guys know what I mean. But yes, just if he hadn't have sent me all these, you know, I wouldn't have been able to review them. So I'm just very grateful. But yes, this is a very nice fragrance. And also, when I was looking on Fragrantica at reviews and stuff, I did find that this fragrance is also very similar to another fragrance that was released later than this one. And that fragrance comes from a company called Carner Barcelona, and the fragrance is called Cures or something. I'll post it down below. If you guys have heard of that fragrance, let me know, and if whether you think it's similar to this or not, I don't know. But the only reason I've I've mentioned it is because a lot of people did vote on it on Fragrantica, and a lot of people said that it smells just like this. So I don't know, but this is a good scent. Just a very dark cannabis sort of fragrance. With that tiny little bit of hint of coffee, a lot of tobacco. Incense and oud doesn't really appear until maybe like the 5th hour, 4th or 5th hour. So if you're into oud, you've got to be patient. With sometimes with these fragrances, like if they feature oud, you can pretty much smell them from the get-go. Not with this one. You have to pretty much wait a few hours until you can. But this is a good fragrance. It's, like I said, not my favourite. It may be a little bit too rough for me, a little bit too narcotic. What's the word? Hypnotic. Sorry, not narcotic. I'm thinking of Narcotic Venus. Sorry. Yeah, it's a little bit too bold for me. It's a little bit too different for me also. But I'm happy to have just the tiniest sample in my collection. And I just want to say a big thank you to Jacques for sending me these. And also thank you so much, guys, for watching my review on Black Afgano by Nasomatto. Thank you so much for watching this review. If you guys have any questions whatsoever, please hit me in the comments below and I would be more than happy to answer all of your questions. Just thanks so much for watching, guys. You guys are incredible. Please keep smelling good, take care of yourselves, and have an awesome autumn time. See you later, guys, and bye-bye for now.